Habari Entertainment proudly presents Habari Live.
Habari Live.
From Phoenix, Arizona. And you're listening to the Habari Live podcast. The show that brings you news, sports, and entertainment for people who love HabariEntertainment.com. Here are your hosts, Iesha, Jimmy, and Damon Diplean Ellison. Let's get it going. We are all the way live.
Yo, there we go. Welcome. What you looking at? Welcome to another episode of Habari Live, your go-to podcast for the pulse of Phoenix and beyond. Like always, man, we're all the way live in Paradise Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, man. So, Habari Live is your go-to podcast for the pulse of Phoenix and beyond. And as always, like I said, we're all the way live. And I am Damon Ellison, and my co-host,
Iesha. Hey,
we will be your guide through the exciting stories and everyday happenings in our vibrant community. Your weekly dose of inspiration, innovation, and insightful conversations from the heart of our city. So let's get it going, man. Why it's so hard to find you? I don't know, man. It should be easy to find us. Shouldn't be hard to find. I'm not sure. But first, let's go across what's the top stories for the week, and the stories that Iesha thought was consequential or important. So let's get straight to it. Let's go.
awesome. Thank you, Ralph. We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. This week, a lot's been happening, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the rundown. Federal judge has temporarily blocked the Trump administration from moving forward on an overhaul with a database that critics say would dramatically expand the federal government's access to Americans' personal information. The lawsuit argues that the system could allow agencies to consolidate sensitive personal data, including your financial, employment, and immigration records, in ways that raise serious privacy concerns for a lot of individuals. And civil liberty groups are praising the ruling, saying that it protects Americans while the courts are determining whether the administration exceeds its legal authority here.
I mean, I have to. For once, not for once. The court system is held in some ways, but this is a good decision. I'm hoping that it gets struck all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this is just not a pause on the decision. But this administration, man, the decisions they've made to try to go after the voter registrations from the states, trying to use power to keep mail-in ballots from coming to states who did not bow down to his rules of wanting him to get access to their voter registration logs. The things that they've done to try to push the narrative that they are being cheated. They're going after states. They are trying to push through this voter Save Act that he wants to push through. Everything he's doing is trying to tell us and tell the American people that he's being cheated.
Right.
And just like I said, we heard someone say the other day, they got the Supreme Court, they have Congress, they have Senate, they have the president, they have the executive branch, they have power of every level and every branch of government.
Right.
And they are crying and screaming, talking about they do not have fair elections. It just makes us think like all the elections that you guys have won, are you cheating? Because you're sitting there telling us that it's cheating, everything's cheating, but you're the one that's winning the elections. So make me understand. How are you saying that this is cheating if you're the one that's winning?
Right.
To me, it seems like you're admitting that you are cheating. But Donald, he likes to rehash old election, 2020 election when he lost. You know, he likes to go back and look at that and talk about that. But at the same time, man, these guys have won everything. They're worried about the shellacking they're going to take in November because they've done a horrible job leading this country. So they're doing everything they can to cheat, to make sure that the process is questioned. So some people will just buy out, some people will question it, and up get the people up in arms.
Mm-hmm.
And then when violence comes after all these craziness, then they'll blame the Democrats and say it's the Democrats' fault. The normal stuff.
Right.
But okay.
Yep. You're absolutely right. That's what they'll do.
What
Moving
what
on.
does that say? You have the other thing on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mail-in voting is illegal. How is it illegal? It's been legal for definitely decades in Arizona, and many Republicans have won office using mail-in ballots. In fact, mail-in ballots is the way that most Republicans were voting here in Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and they were winning all of the elections.
Right.
So I'm not sure the argument that conservatives have right now against mail-in ballots. It makes zero sense. When they're winning in many states, they are in power in almost every level. I don't see or understand. If you guys were not winning elections, then maybe I would say, hey, maybe they got a fight here.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense when you're winning everything. That's It just doesn't make sense, man. So I'm sorry, man. You guys got to come with something better than what you're coming with.
I agree with you there. Moving on. In Texas, the State Board of Education has approved a curriculum requiring Bible stories to be taught in public elementary schools. And supporters are arguing that the lessons are presented as part of American history and literature, saying that the students should understand the Bible's influence on Western civilization and the nation's founding principles, while opponents are saying that the decision blurs the line between church and state, which it obviously does. And, it could lead to additional legal challenges over religious freedoms in our public education system.
Mm. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. These people are always talking about how they love the Constitution and they love and believe in the four founders and the founding fathers and everything that they represent and everything that they stood for.
Mm-hmm.
Religious persecution was the main reason that they came to this country to
Right.
escape religious beliefs and being pushed on people or other people not being able to practice their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So America, the main standing of America was to make sure that religion was not a part of the country, that royalty and royal blood and all those things were not a part of the government because of all the mistakes they saw happen in Europe. They didn't want to make those mistakes again. So they created a government that was supposed to be given to the people. There are so many different religions, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different people who believe in different things. I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at the same situation. That's why there's so many religious dominations. There's so many different people who
Right.
believe in so many different things. How are we going to push on people their religion, or how are we going to try to figure out whose religion is better? This is just goofy stuff. And I don't understand why the Republicans keep pushing it, because it's against the Constitution. And it's stated clearly. And I do not understand why these guys keep pushing this and trying to put their religion in schools. Like, it doesn't make sense for the people who are Muslim, Jewish, atheists. Like, it doesn't make sense that you pushing this for the people who are Hindu, Buddhist, whatever the hell you are.
Right.
Maybe you don't believe in the words of Jesus like some other people. But this is the history of Christianity. Push your beliefs on others, make others believe in your religion, make them read your book, make them switch to your religion. Even though America's not supposed to be that way, we have a history of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
A long history of pushing religion. How many African Americans or Africans, when they were coming to America, were Christians?
Right.
Not many. Not many. There were more that were Muslim than that were Christian. Most of them were from the Yoruba and Nigeria and Western African cultures. So we had a lot of voodoo. We had a lot of other religions that people believed in, and it was not Christianity. But that was pushed on people, and people, gravitated toward it because they felt they heard the word, and it was the Bible never helped. Religion never helped. The government, war had to step in. The Bible, all these people, all these slaves, they're praying and hoping, never comes. It never comes. It never comes into a time where it had to get to a point where people start killing each other. Then that killing didn't stop it. We had to go to war. So I mean, this is a country that has a problem and that's why you learn history, because of this. We've seen these issues before. So we trying to push your religion on us. It's crazy. I don't understand what Christians, why do they think they're better than everyone else? What is it about them that makes them better than every other religion, where they think that their 10 commandments get to be posted up?
Right.
If you put up one religion, then you have to put up them all. So it's man, something needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Something needs to be done.
I agree. Something does need to be done with that. But anywho, let's get into a little bit something serious here. International tensions do remain high after the U.S. launched airstrikes against Iranian targets following an attack on a cargo ship that was traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iran-backed forces have reportedly responded with drone attacks targeting Bahrain, raising fears that the conflict could spread throughout the region despite the ongoing ceasefire discussions that they're currently in. While the Strait of Hormuz does remain one of the world's largest shipping lanes, carrying a significant portion of our global oil supply, security analysts warn that any prolonged disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could impact global energy prices and international trade.
Oh man, and but it's America also attacked Iran last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little back and forth going right now. Israel, they decided they really don't want to stop bombing. They really don't want to stop bombing. What is it, Lebanon?
Mm-hmm.
So the war is still going. We've celebrated the victory like 10 times, and voodoo did not originate in Haiti. But okay, yeah, man. Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know, man. So it's just weird that this guy is going around saying he's a victory and he won, and everything is a victory.
Right.
But man, it doesn't look like this is over. We're going to keep fighting and keep going. They blew up a ship also going through the strait. So it's been a mess this whole time. And he keeps talking about what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. He keeps threatening people. It's just been it's been terrible, man. It has not been good at all. And the negotiations with the Trump administration has been really, really bad. And it's just it's just crazy to see. It's crazy to see, man. Yeah, man. It's insane. Yeah, it's a lot of ways for money. You know, a lot of ways for money. But yeah, man, I don't know what this guy is doing with this war, but every week we talk about it, the ups and downs. One day they're celebrating, they're telling us that they won, and the next day we're bombing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I don't know how anyone can take this guy serious anymore. You look at him and you look at the way things are going with him, and it's just not going well.
Right.
His war is not going well. I know he wants out of it, but I mean, this what happens when you start things,
Mm-hmm.
and you should have told Netanyahu no, but you wanted to go ahead and look like a tough guy, or you wanted to change the subject from the Epstein files. So to change the subject, you decided to start a war. Anything to get out of that conversation. And now it's a war that you just can't get out of. And it just keeps going. You think you can tough guy it and punk these people out, make these people do what you want them to do, talk to them crazy, and you think that's going to make things go the way you want. These people aren't they're not MAGA. They're not going to bow down to you. They don't care about you and your little threats. So he looks, man, he's looking ridiculous on the global scale. Diplomatically, they just look ridiculous. Um, him and JD Vance, they look weak. They look like they do not know what they are doing at all. And it's imagine that when a whole bunch of people who have no history, no no diplomatic teachings to be able to do the things that they're doing, and to now see them failing when trying to negotiate in diplomacy, it's not a surprise. None of these people have any history of doing this. None of these people went to school or have any graduate degrees and or any military background to know what the hell is going on. And they're sitting Jared Kushner and JD Vance. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. The Biden administration still had trials going on. I think it was Ghislaine Maxwell's trial was still going on, so all the files were not
They were
yet
still sealed
able to be sealed.
to be
So
released.
that's the reason why they didn't go through. And also Biden, he didn't use the DOJ as his personal pit bulls like Trump does. Trump uses the DOJ to go after people. You know what I'm saying? He tweets it on his little live social, and he says, "Go after them. Why haven't you went after these people?" You know. So that's what he does, and that's totally different than the president who is let the DOJ do what they want to do and be an independent, uh, um, like they're supposed to be.
Right.
Go ahead though.
Yeah, you're right. Lastly, let's go ahead and get into how the police in Arizona, the Phoenix police, are under scrutiny following two officer involved shootings. Now, these were separate incidences where new concerns are being raised about how the police tactics after an independent expert concluded that Phoenix police officers failed to properly identify themselves before two separate involved officer shootings. The experts say that the incidents reveal a troubling pattern that could create confusion during rapidly unfolding encounters, potentially increasing the risk of deadly encounters, especially like these two, one of these two cases was. And the community advocates are calling for additional officer training and greater accountability, especially with the Phoenix Police Department.
Man, Phoenix police trigger happy. Um, they do, if they are trained well, they do not show that they are.
Right.
I have, you want to respect the police because what they do and what they things that they go through, the job that they're going through to face people in the ugliest situations. and to come to people when they're at their bottom. But
Mm-hmm.
you see so many bad police, and it's bad people and everything. But the problem with the police force is that the good people, they don't even say anything when they see bad people. At your job, if you do a bad job, your boss gonna find out because one of these people, they gonna snitch on you. Yeah, Damon, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. They're gonna snitch on you.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the police force, the thin blue line, they all keep everything a secret. They know that the guy is taking money from under the table. They don't say anything. And these police officers, man, they're shooting people. When we saw them shoot a homeowner who was fighting a burglar, they shoot the homeowner, and the guy gets off. He goes home. Somehow they always understand what's going on with these officers. They never do any wrong, man. They always go home in these situations. Anybody else, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, they're murderers. They meant to kill someone, but an officer, it's never assumed the worst. It's always assumed the best for them.
Right.
And they just keep showing us that their training is inept. They're not learning. They don't know escalation tactics. And you look at the numbers, you look at the statistics, you see that our police are one of the worst police in the world. Our national police, we shoot more people than any other police force in the world. We do not have centralized training. We're hoping that every state has policing and training tactics that are up to par. When I think there should be federal training, and it should be longer than what they're going, because most officers, no disrespect to them, but they don't even know the law, because they don't go and they don't go to these training long enough. What is it? It's 6 months to a year, and you're an officer. And when you're an officer, like I said, you automatically get the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what you do; the people just automatically think you're right. Now,
Just
a lot of
because,
people,
you got the complexion for protection.
nah, it's just that you're a police officer, and when it comes to police officers, people have a built-in bias that they're doing the right thing. Now, just like people, they hate to say it, but when black people to certain groups of people, they're just like, oh, they're doing something wrong. It's got to be them. It's them, and that's the way they view it. They're biased, but that never hurts them when it comes to being picked in a jury.
Right.
And these are the things that happens because this bias is what gets these officers off. And it's the same reason why they keep doing craziness in the streets, because they for real think they have a badge, a license to kill, and they can do whatever they want, because Americans have shown in history over and over again that the grand juries aren't going to indict them. And these people are always getting away with things. It takes the federal government to come in and try to put these police forces in place. We had Biden and Obama. They was coming after Phoenix because some of the things that they were doing. Trump getting in office immediately just throws it away, because he doesn't care about what police officers are doing, killing people and shooting people. He wants them to be as violent as possible. The Phoenix police are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and who are the ones that's suffering? It's the everyday citizen. So it's bullshit.
It is. I agree.
Yeah. All right. Now we whatever, doc. So yeah, man. Today we have a couple things we're going to talk about, and we're going to go over a couple things that's been happening. That's just been happening over the last few weeks, and a couple of these cases are going to probably go to the Supreme Court, but who knows? The Supreme Court already made a decision on one of them, because this is how things are done. How many blacks have the police killed? How many whites have whites killed? Why are you so worried about black people? I'll say these numbers again. 85% of white people are killed by another white person. So white on white crime is a big thing. So instead of you spending your time worried about how many black people kill black people, because 90% of black people kill another black person, the numbers for white people aren't that far off. So I wish you guys would figure out your own issues with the white population killing whites. This is white on white crime is astronomical right now. So do something about that before you start worrying about us and what we're doing. But man, go ahead.
Yeah. How's it on me?
Because it is.
Okay. Whatever. Thank y'all for choosing to stay and spend part of your Saturday morning with us. If you'd like to continue finding us, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and become a member if you'd like to. It's only like $1.99 a month. It does help us continue doing what we do and having conversations that we have with you each Saturday. So we do truly appreciate you guys tuning in and helping us. So let's go ahead and get into today's topics. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I this they're all supposed to be independent, but in the Trump kingdom, everything is under his rule. So dog, if you have to compare the police killings to a third world country, you know that we're bad. You know that we're bad, right? I mean, if our police officers have to be compared to Venezuela, that means that we're not doing a good job. So we have to figure out that stop trying to make excuses for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's no excuse. And our police officers should be better trained. Their de-escalation training is it's horrid. It's the worst. And if you ever called the police, you see how the police act when they come on the scene in many situations. I'm not saying all. And they come in and they just escalate situations with their horrible attitudes and their stereotypes and just their ignorant behavior. Police should not be that way. And
No,
I think they need
shouldn't.
more training to not be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, Jay from Atlanta. We appreciate you, brother. So before we begin, we want to thank every one of you who continue to support Habari Entertainment, independent journalism. Every view, every comment, every share, and every conversation helps us continue what we believe is important, covering the stories that shape our communities and providing context that often gets lost in the daily news cycles. Our goal has always been simple, not to tell you what to think, but to encourage informed conversations built on facts, history, and thoughtful discussion. That's the main thing that Habari wants to do.
For sure it is, because today's program focuses on issues that will affect millions of Americans and people around the world and could shape public policy for years to come. We'll begin today by examining the federal government's challenge to Evanston, Illinois, reparations program, and the broader constitutional questions now surrounding reparative justice in America. From there, we'll discuss the Supreme Court's major immigration decisions, including rulings involving TPS or temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians, and we'll also discuss the decisions that could mean for families, broader enforcement, and humanitarian protections around the world.
For sure. And in our final hour, we'll bring you our clips of the week, like always, and we'll examine some of the biggest stories making headlines, from rising tensions involving Iran and U.S. foreign policy to immigration debates in Washington. Discussions about artificial intelligence and executive power, voting rights, reparations, protests, and abroad, and much more. These stories may appear unrelated at first glance, but together they reveal larger conversations taking place about democracy, government, authority, civil rights, and America's role in the world.
Exactly. And as always, we encourage respectful discussions in the chat. And we know that many of today's topics are deeply personal and often generate strong opinions. So we do ask that you please try to keep your comments respectful throughout the show. While we do welcome your different perspectives, we do encourage you to also respect not only our opinions, and we also ask that you respect the opinions of others in the chat as well.
Yeah. And like she said earlier, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, become part of the growing community. And if you've been with us before and from the beginning, thank you for continuing the journey with Habari Live and supporting us. Your support has helped makes Habari what it is today, and we're grateful to have you guys here. Now grab some coffee, settle in, and let's get started. We're gonna do some shit. First, we're gonna play this video, man, about DOJ blocking reparations. It's the third one right there.
The U.S. Department of Justice has now joined a lawsuit against the city of Evanston's reparation program. It offers grants up to $25,000 for African American residents impacted by discriminatory housing practices between 1919 and 1969. A group of non-black residents sued, saying the fact that they are not included in this program constitutes racial discrimination. Now the DOJ is joining them. The city of Evanston saying that it does not comment on active litigation, but does say it maintains that the reparation program is legal.
The argument that they're putting in place might be the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Right.
So you're saying that the racial discrimination that these people face in housing and any reparations or money that they get for all of the discrimination that's happened since slavery, that any money that goes to black people is racist because you're picking out black people. But those are the people that was discriminated against.
Right.
Dog, I swear, man, it's just, and then for the Trump administration to come out and say, yeah, we're with them. And basically, you know, they're letting people know how they feel. They are against anything that is black in this country. So, I mean, the city knows its history of racial discrimination in housing. It did not say white discrimination. It said racial discrimination to minorities and black people in Evanston. Redlining, housing discrimination didn't happen to white people, but they're like, we need money too. This isn't fair. Are you kidding me? So you go through, you see the studies, you see all the numbers of all the people that were discriminated against and all the reasons why they were discriminated. And you're like, man, white people should get some of this. Proving the point that we always say and we always have anytime that black people try to get any reparations, anything for the things that's happened, here they come. But what about us? Like, why would it didn't affect you? It didn't affect you. It's like some people in the area was hit by a tornado and the people from the outside are like, man, I should get some of that tornado money too. That isn't fair. Like, what? You wasn't even in the area that was hit. How do you get to come out and say, oh, we get money too? When the people that's been discriminated against for all these years get nothing. And then when the time comes for them to get something, here comes the federal government trying to block it. I mean, it's unbelievable. The city of Evansville have seen that they have a history of discrimination in housing, and they've said, man, this is bad. And you know what? We're going to pay the citizens that went through this, and we're going to make it a little fairer than what we've been doing over the last 100 so years. And the people are like, no, no way. Anytime it's black people, anybody else, they don't have anything to say. But anytime it's black people and they talk about anything to try to make things right that was done wrong to people, they're going to fight against it. I've never in my life, I don't understand. Why is it so much hate for us? I don't get it, man. Like if a group of people caught cancer from a product that was being manufactured and warehoused in a certain area, and these people are getting cancer, did studies to find out, hey man, these people, they're being treated unfairly. They're getting cancers from this product. We're going to sue this government. We're going to sue this company to make sure that they get a certain amount of money. Mm-hmm. And the people on the outside are like, no, that should be for me. But you didn't get sick. It doesn't matter. That's not fair. It shouldn't just be for them. Like, what? That's y'all argument? Can you prove that you were discriminated against the people who are? Can you do that? Because the proof is already there for the black citizens who was going to get the reparations. But for the people in the DOJ and who are Trump are backing, they have no history of being discriminated against.
Right.
Their skin tone has never kept them from living in a certain area or made them have to live in a certain area because they have a certain skin tone. This is ridiculous stuff, man. But the DOJ is challenging Edwardsville, equal protection in America's unfinished problems. We can't ever get over stuff because we have people who are going to fight against it no matter what. No matter what we do. They're going to stand tall. They're going to go against it. I just don't understand. But we're diving into one of the most controversial legal and moral questions in America today, man. Can a government legally provide reparations based on race? Oh my God. The U.S. Department of Justice has entered the legal battle over Evanston, Illinois' reparations program, arguing that race-based housing grants violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause in federal housing law. Supporters say Evanston is attempting to repair documented, proven. This is we all know this is proven racism that has been happening since slavery was proclamated. We all know this. But Evanston is trying to repair this documented, government created discrimination. Critics argue the Constitution doesn't allow governments to compensate one racial group while excluding another, but it was okay to exclude one racial group from housing and good housing. It's okay to make sure that certain group can't get homes in certain areas and redline them into the ghetto. That's fine. But trying to give money for the people who were put in these situations, oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. We're going to fight against that. Because you shouldn't exclude another, even though the housing excluded us by our skin tone. We were excluded to live in certain areas because of our skin tone. Mm-hmm. But you're going to fight and say, oh, you can't use skin tone to pay people. What the fuck did you think they used to redline us? Why do you think we have black neighborhoods all over this country? You think that was just black people deciding? No, this was decisions made by them to put us in certain areas and make sure we couldn't get access to others. This debate goes far beyond Evanston. It forces America to confront difficult questions that we don't want to confront. Yep. What does justice look like generations after discrimination occurred? Can government repair historical harm? Where is the line between equality and equity? And perhaps the biggest question, why have some groups received reparations from the federal government while Black Americans largely have not? We already know why. Mm-hmm. We're the most hated group in the world. Yep. Today we'll examine the legal arguments the historical facts, the constitutional issues that we face today, and what this lawsuit could mean for every future reparations effort across America. As always, our goal isn't to tell you what to think, but it's to give you the facts, the history, and the context so you can decide for yourself. I'm not going to make you change your mind, but I want to give you everything that I believe is the real reasons that we're going through this.
Right.
And you can make your own decision up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's on you.
Yeah. So, what is Evanston's reparations program? A lot of you may be wondering. When many people hear the word reparations, and immediately they picture direct cash payments going into Black people's pockets. Don't know why that is the thing that they automatically think that uh, is what they mean by reparations. But that's actually not what Evanston actually originally created. In 2021, the Evanston became the first city in America to implement a municipal reparations program. The city identified a very specific harm where between 1919 and 1969, Black residents faced documented housing discrimination. These included things like redlining, restrictive housing covenants, discriminatory zoning, mortgage discrimination, unequal access to wealthy building opportunities, and the city argued that these weren't isolated acts of prejudice, but the government was supporting these policies, is what the analysis found. Because home ownership originally was historically the largest source of generational wealth in America, officials argued that those policies continued to affect families today. Eligible residents could receive up to $25,000, where initially those funds were limited to housing assistance, and they later became allowed for greater flexibility in funds, how they were used. Importantly, the program wasn't just funded primarily by income taxes. Much of the funding did actually come from local cannabis tax revenue. They had an oversupply of tax revenue, so they were able to use that over tax revenue to implement this program. Supporters argued that this was a locally funded attempt to address locally documented injustice, while the critics did disagree. And now, this group is challenging this particular program in Evanston.
And here comes the DOJ, here comes Trump. They got to put their nose in it because they got to make sure everyone knows how they feel, that they're very racist and they're against anything that has anything to do with race based. They want to ignore race and act like race isn't there and this group of people doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. That's their way. Diversity is a bad thing, like Hex have said. It's we with diversity. Oh, we're not like dude. It's we understand. You hate Black people. You hate brown people. But the DOJ putting this lawsuit was filed by 9 Black. The original lawsuit filed by 9 Black residents who argue they were excluded solely because of their race. No, you were excluded because your race wasn't a part of the problem that was going on. You were the people that was perpetrating it. You were not the fucking victims of it.
Right.
You can't sit around and say, hey, well, we were left out because we're white. No, you were left out because you wasn't the people that were going through those things.
You were the people creating the problem.
Right. How do you get paid on the front end and the back end? It's just like the people in Washington, D.C. who had slaves all those years, and then the city of D.C. paid a few people for losing their slaves. Gave them money in the back end, like, we feel bad for you, Bob. Here you go. We feel bad for you. Lost your slaves. Take a few dollars here. Now, that was one of the only people that groups or cities that did that, because after that it was banned and no other people did that. But some people did get paid for losing their slaves, and you all sitting around saying that the slaves never shouldn't have got money, or the people that's going through all of this discrimination for all these years, not allowing us to get the loans, not allowing us to live in the houses that we can afford, that we can pay for, but because a person's skin color, they wouldn't allow you to. Solely because of race. Now, Judicial Watch has backed the plaintiffs. Now, the Department of Justice wants to intervene. Donald Trump makes sure he knows, everyone knows how racist he is. The DOJ argues that eligibility based primarily on race violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So try to use the amendments that help black people against us for getting help for things that happen to us. That's their argument. We haven't had fair housing ever in this damn country. The racism we have to worry about when we try to get a home or get a house or get an apartment, it's ridiculous. Some people are not thinking about, I'm just trying to think about living next to my job or close to my where I work. Not thinking about living in this neighborhood or that neighborhood. I'm trying to get close to my job where I'm not 300 miles away from it. But they're using the Fair Housing Act. Their legal position is straightforward and racist like always. Government should treat citizens as individuals, even though this country has never done that. Black people are treated as a group. If one black person does something, that is always a detriment to all. But they want to say it all. Yeah, citizens should be treated as individuals. By putting in policies that affect nothing but black people. DOJ argues public funds cannot be distributed based on ancestry or race without satisfying strict constitutional scrutiny. Supporters interventions argue if government can discriminate in favor of one race, future governments could discriminate against another.
Yep.
They argue constitutional protections apply equally to everyone. The question isn't whether discrimination happened. The question is whether race-based remedies are constitutional today. How can you say you know that it was because you were black that you were not giving a home in a certain area, a loan in a certain area, you were redlined to a certain area,
Right?
And we all know these things happened, but the answer constitutionally can't be to just help those people who went through it. Are you kidding me, dog? You gonna give money to the people who never faced this issue? That sounds crazy to me. But that's the Trump administration's argument. That's the legal battle that's raging now, unfolding in our face. As the Trump administration does not want Evanston to help its community out to get homes, even though they have been discriminated against getting homes because they were black.
Yep. You're right. But what was Evanston's response? City officials rejected the DOJ's arguments where their position was very different. They said that this isn't about giving benefits because someone is black. It's about repairing measurable damage caused by government's actions. Officials argued that they documented decades of housing discriminations carried out or enabled by the local government in Evanston. The program narrowly tailored to address that documented harm. They wanted to go back and make it right, the mistake that they had made. They have the documented cases showing that they made a mistake. Now they want to go back and repair and fix that mistake, which is honestly not a bad idea if you look at it. But supporters also noted that eligibility isn't simply all black residents. Applicants must show qualifying family connections to those affected during the documented time period, which was 1919 through 1969.
Right.
Advocates argued that governments routinely compensate victims after their wrongdoings, but the only difference here is the harm spans multiple generations. It's not just consolidated to one decade, it's multiple decades in this particular case.
The Supreme Court did not say DEI is illegal. You are not correct on that. Trump wrote an executive order saying that DEI is illegal. So you're incorrect. But anyway, this is insane, man, what we're seeing. But it's still going to be difficult for someone to prove that their family was affected by this housing discrimination unless they can prove that in a certain year they were trying to get a home and they were pushed out or where they weren't allowed to do that. So it would take someone that, really went through that to come up and prove it. So this is just, it's not going to really help, and it's probably not going to be a whole lot of people who are going to be able to prove the discrimination that they faced to get loans. You would have to, show that you put all your paperwork together, you did everything that you wanted to get the home. You went to get through the payment, and I mean, you went to get the loan, and they looked at your paperwork and your money and said no, because who you are and where you were with the house you were getting. So I mean, it's going to be tough for some people to prove this, but at the same time, it's money that should be there for those people who can. So it's just a band-aid. It's not a real way to solve the problem. The problem could be solved by more Black people being able to get these housing loans. It is something that has been an historically a problem for people to get these loans, and less Black people are given these loans. But you asked the questions: have America paid reparations before? And someone already said it before. They did give reparations to the people from the Japanese internment camps. Many people don't realize reparations were already a part of American history. So we'll look at several different examples here. The Japanese Americans, during World War II, more than 120,000 Japanese Americans were forcibly placed in internment camps, an ugly part of American history. And decades later, Congress acknowledged that policy was wrong. In 1988, the Civil Liberty Act provided a formal apology, something slavery still hasn't gotten from America, $20,000 to each surviving internee. And it wasn't considered charity or a handout. It was considered compensation for something that was wrong to those people.
Right.
But when it comes to Black Americans, it's a handout. It's get a job. It's all these things. And the thing is that these people think that we're coming online and we're asking for reparations. That's not. We're not, because we don't ask for reparations. We don't really need money. The problem is that it was never done.
Right.
That it should have been done in the first place to the people who survived those things in the first place. So now you're 100 years after, and all of the people are dead.
Pretty much.
So the only other people that you have is the people who went through
descendants.
The Jim Crow, and those people are still alive, but they still won't do anything. So the people who survived Jim Crow, they're not going to get anything. They're going to die and not get anything. And we just see the injustice, and we just see that continuously. We're going to watch all the people who were slaves, watch them die broken poor. Watch all the people who were not given a chance during Jim Crow and all these other horrible eras, and not care what happened to them. And then wonder why it's Americans, Black Americans have a look at the country a certain way.
Right.
When every time it's time to do something right, they look the other way. Now the Native Americans, they were done badly. Trail of Tears, all of the land that America, I mean, the East Coast was filled with natives.
It was.
There's no natives on the East Coast anymore. At least on the West Coast in Arizona, you see natives, but in the East, they were just all wiped out. They killed them all. Every tribe, every group, everything. They tore down their homes. They tore down where they live. They colonized the whole entire country, tore down all the native stuff. But Congress did create the Indian Claims Commission in 1946 after they did so much to create a genocide for the Native Americans.
Right.
Its purpose was to compensate tribes whose land had been improperly taken. The commission distributed roughly $1.3 billion before ending in 1978. While many Native leaders argued the payments were insufficient, they represented another federal acknowledgement of historical wrongdoing
by the government.
Something they cannot do for black people. But in Rosewood, Florida, in 1923, the predominantly black town of Rosewood was destroyed by racial violence, something that happened to many cities across America about 100 years ago.
Yep.
For decades, survivors received nothing. Then in 1994, Florida approved compensation for survivors and descendants. Again, government recognized historical injustice and provided financial compensation. So I mean, it's what we asked for, man. Now I know, I wish it just would have been fixed a long time ago. It's such a convoluted situation right now because of the wrongs that were done. It's kind of hard to fix it now because everyone is going to be like, well, you're just a
They're gonna be against
descendant
it.
and you didn't go through it since you're the descendants of this problem.
Right.
But it's what America gets for not fixing the problems immediately. That's why we have this president in right now, because we didn't fix him when he was out of office. He should have been in jail. The Confederates after the war, they should have went to jail. But no, we didn't do that. We let them off the hook. And that's the reason why we have the people and the way of thinking that is still a big problem in this country.
Yep. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. But what about Black Americans? The debate becomes more complicated here. Immediately after the Civil War, General William Sherman issued a Special Field Order number 15. It allocated confiscated Confederate land to formerly enslaved families. The policy became known as 40 acres and a mule. Thousands of families briefly occupied the land. Then President Johnson came in and completely reversed that order, and much of the land returned to former Confederates. While many historians argue that the reversal fundamentally altered Black economic history, what happened since then, right? There have never been any comprehensive federal reparations programs for descendants of enslaved Americans. Congress has repeatedly considered H.R. 40, but that would establish a commission to study reparations and how they could be distributed to the descendants of enslaved individuals. It would not automatically create any payments whatsoever, but the bill has never become a law. Instead, cities and states have explored localized approaches like the one that we just discussed in Evanston.
Mm-hmm.
And, California created a reparations task force. Evanston created its housing program, and other municipalities continue to study similar ideas and are in the works or in the discussion phase of implementing such programs like these.
Yeah, man, it's sad. It's sad that this is what we have to go through. But when you have a country that's immoral and doesn't really care about its citizens, these are the things that happens. And you have so many people who just have nothing but hatred in them. They don't want equality. They want to be able to look at others and point at them and call them the problem. They don't want to fix that problem. They just want someone to call a problem. It makes them feel better about their existence. They can wake up in the morning and look down and say, oh, look at those people. But this lawsuit raises one of the biggest constitutional questions in decades. On one side, supporters argue equality sometimes requires repairing unequal treatment. If government caused measurable harm, government should repair it. But many people do not believe that. On the other side, opponents argue the Constitution prohibits government from distributing benefits based on race, regardless of historical context. So regardless of what happens to a people, you can't help those people based on race, even though we've done it 3 times. Even though we've done it for the natives, we've done it for the Jews, we've done it for the Japanese, but for the Black people, we can't do that. It's based on race. It's not fair. And the courts typically apply what's called a strict scrutiny whenever government classifies citizens by race.
Mm-hmm.
That means the government must show and prove a compelling governmental interest, and that the program is narrowly tailored. Whether Evanston's program meets that standard is exactly what federal courts must decide. We already know they have the proof because the proof is there. It's been happening for years, and we all see the proof in the tapestry of America. When you look at this country and you see where we live, you all know that it was decided for us what a black neighborhood is.
Mm-hmm.
Black people didn't select an area and say, hey, let's all move here. No. When we tried to buy homes and real estate and we tried to get these places, there were who you think were the realtors? Who owned all the homes? What do you think is going on? So you think that it was black people who owned all these places? No. We're trying to buy, we're trying to get the land. And you wonder why these places, Black Harlem and black this and black that, those places exist because they call it redlining. We were put on top of each other. And then you wonder why when we try to get access to other places, they turn them down. No, you can't get it. We see the discrimination. They're going to have enough information. But this case could influence future reparations efforts across America, when a lot of cities are looking back at their past and saying, you know, this is kind of embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should do something for these people.
Yeah. But the program is intended to remedy documented government harm. And supporters are arguing that the program is not based on race alone. They say that it is designed to address documented housing discrimination carried out by the city of Evanston between, again, 1919 and 1969 through redlining, restrictive covenants, zoning, and leading practices that disproportionately harmed Black residents in that area.
Yeah. Secondly, reparations have historical precedent. Supporters note that governments have compensated other groups after documented injustice and included the Japanese Americans interned during World War II, survivors of the Rosewood Massacre in Florida, victims of police torture in Chicago and other cities, Native American land claims. Their argument is that reparations are not a new legal concept. They have been used before when government acknowledges specific harm to a specific group.
Mm-hmm. Third, the equal protection does not automatically prohibit all race conscious programs. Supporters are arguing that the courts have recognized that government may, in limited circumstances, adopt race conscious remedies if they serve a compelling governmental interest and are narrowly tailored, such as the Evanston housing program. Whether or not Evanston's program meets that standard is still a central question in the lawsuit that has been brought forth. But, you know, the government has documented proof that they themselves committed an act of discrimination. So now they're wanting to fix that. And I agree with them wanting to fix their mistake.
Why? What should white people get reparations for? You tell me what happened to them. Now the Jews, you know, they call themselves white. We put them in the white diaspora, and what we would say that they've received reparations for what happened to them. A lot of people, we're still paying them money because of their situation, where they're at, and what they went through, and why we built where they live in the Middle East. So yeah, man, it's a lot of people have gotten money because of their skin tone, but the harm created generational economic consequences. Supporters contend that discriminatory housing policies prevented many black families from accumulating home equity and passing wealth to future generations, because home ownership has long been a primary source of intergenerational wealth in the United States, something that the black population has been left out of.
Yep.
They argue the effects of those police policies continue today, and that is the exact truth.
While the program in Evanston is locally funded, supporters point out that much of the funding comes from Evanston's local cannabis tax rather than a nationwide federal tax increase. They argue that the city is using local revenue to address a local historical wrong. I mean, local problem, local tax revenue, fix the problem locally. Why would you use federal tax dollars to fix something that is a local issue in your state?
Yeah, man. No, nah. A lot of Irish were never enslaved. They was indentured servants, and also it wasn't for that long. But if you want to go back that far and try to figure out who bloodline needs money for the Irish being indentured servants, I have no problem with that. That happened to them on American soil. I don't think they were ever given anything for the things, but they do have the ability to blend in and be part of the majority. They have the ability to become part of what the society of white is for the whips as they come to America. They they're part of this. Their skin tone doesn't hurt them. You can't look at them and say you're Scottish or you're Irish and we're going to discriminate against you.
Right.
Because now they're part of the white community. I mean, they used to not be. Jews and Italians and the Irish. They didn't like them. They were just as mad as you guys are today about the brown people moving in. They were just as mad when the Irish and the Catholics came to America in the 20s and 30s and 40s. Pissed off. They put them in ghettos. They put them in places, all in the worst places in the country. To the Italians, and the Italians, because of that, they created very violent gangs that killed a lot of people, and still to this day they have a lot of power and they still doing a lot of crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And today those people are looked at as white. Their skin tone doesn't hurt them. So I don't know, but yeah, man, if you can figure out that if your family was in servitude and it was Italian, yeah, man, you should get your shit. Yeah, what would I be mad for? I believe I believe that the people that are wronged should be given some things
They
for
should
the
be
wrongs
compensated.
that's been done to them. No matter what you are. If that means some of the Irish, whatever. Some people are wronged. The Irish was discriminated against when they first got here. The Jewish, the Italians, they were all stuck in, especially in New York. If they had a chance to prove what happened to them and how they were treated, why would I fight against it when I'm always for the small person fighting against the larger person taking advantage of them? Mm-hmm. I don't care what color you are. Fight for what's right. But this lawsuit focuses on race-based eligibility. The plaintiffs argue they were excluded because they are not Black. Supporters respond that the program is tied to a specific history of discrimination against Black residents during a defined period, not simply to race in the abstract. The disagreement is that the heart of the legal case is that these people were discriminated against because of their color. Now, similar treatment does not always mean equal treatment. Supporters often distinguish from equality from remedial justice talking points, treating everyone exactly the same after decades of unequal treatment. Doesn't necessarily address the effects of the original discrimination, does it? This question is whether a narrow, targeted remedy is constitutional or permissible. The courts will decide the constitutional questions, man, and supporters emphasize that the issue before the court is a legal one. Is a program narrowly tailored? Yes, it is. Does it serve a compelling governmental interest? Yes, to the people that the government trashed for decades. Does it comply with the Equal Protection Clause in the Fair Housing Act? Those questions, not simply whether reparations are a good idea, would determine the outcome of this case. We're going to keep an eye on it, man, and keep talking about it. It's disgraceful that the Trump administration went to fight against this. It's unbelievable that the government is going in after the state government there made a decision for the state. And this is something that Republicans love to talk about. State rights, state rights, state rights. But then a state makes a decision, or a city in a state makes a decision that they're going to do something for their residents. And here comes the federal government putting their thumb on the scale to make sure that these people are not given a thing. These are city funds from cannabis. And these people, here comes Trump to make sure that he lets these people know, I don't like black people, and I don't think they should get any compensation for anything that happened to them. Now, the city of Evanston has came to a consensus that they have been unfairly treating their black residents. They want to give them $25,000 for they can get a home in the areas that they want and get a loan, something that a lot of us have not been given the opportunity to get. So this is this, man, and then for them to say, hey, you can't use race to make decisions like that, even though race was used to discriminate, to make sure that people didn't live in certain areas, to redline. This discussion isn't simply about Evanston. It's simply about what is supposed to happen in a country when the people were wronged and they weren't given the opportunity to build the wealth and the generational dollars that other people were giving. How we were left out of the GI bills, how we were left out of the land consignments. When they were giving out land, the government was giving land to people as long as they can cultivate that land. Black people were left out of those opportunities. Left out of the opportunity to be able to live land to their people. Then they said, while they're getting the GI bills and they're getting all these opportunities to own land, and they're saying, oh, you just want a handout, while they just got a government handout to be able to do the things that they're doing. And this was always about how America defines justice, man. Can governments correct historical wrongs? Should race ever be considered when creating public policy? Yes, if that policy was against a certain race, right. It's common sense. Does equal protection means identical treatment today? No, it doesn't. Or does it sometimes require acknowledging unequal treatment? We understand that we have unequal treatment because we have unequal outcomes in this country. Reasonable people answer those questions differently, but the smart people know the real answers. And that's why this case matters, because whatever the court ultimately decides, the conversation about slavery, segregation, housing discrimination, and generational wealth isn't ending anytime soon, because those things are happening today. But we like to hear from you. Do you believe reparations should be handled by local governments? Should Congress establish a national solution? Or should race never be considered, even though race was always considered? Let us know what you think, man. Leave your thoughts in the comment section and we will read those, and especially those that, if you send a star,
are respectful.
And keep it respectful, challenge ideas, and not people, man. Let's not fight. If you appreciate thoughtful conversations like this, be sure to like the stream, subscribe to Habari Live, and share today's episode with someone who may see this issue differently. Because meaningful conversations only happen when people are willing to listen. And if we're going to fight about everything and not listen to each other, we will never go forward.
That is so true.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. So next, what are we going into? We're going to do a quick break and we'll be right back. Corporate media failed to feed us the people. They told us what to think, what stories mattered, and who deserved a voice. Meanwhile, everyday people are struggling. Families can't afford groceries. Politicians are performing for cameras instead of helping the community. And mainstream media keeps protecting the same broken system. That's why we created Habari Live. Independent media, unfiltered conversations, real discussions about politics, sports, culture, entertainment, and the issues affecting real people. We're not backed by billionaires. We're not reading corporate scripts, and we're not afraid to challenge narratives, because the people deserve more than outrage and propaganda. They deserve truth, perspective, community, news our way. This is Habari Live. Subscribe now and join the movement.
Headphones over
Habari
here.
Live. No, there's some extra ones over there. You can use those.
Okay.
Switch them.
Okay.
Slavery was never about race. It was about race when the Democrats started. They're so stupid. So you think that you can say the word Democrats and that takes the responsibility off of your people? No, the South segregated blacks. The South. The South is where only black people were slaves. So how could it not be about race? The conservatives wanted to conserve the way things were, like always, and they wanted to fight for that. And you could say Democrats and Republicans, but we know you're being disingenuous when you say those things. Say Dixie Democrats, so we know that you're talking about the Dixie South and the things that they were doing, and stop trying to make it seem like it's the liberals of today. It's so dumb. It's so stupid. And so many of you do it. And I wish you would do something else with your lives, because it's ridiculous. So the next story, man, we're going to talk about is immigration policy that's going on with in America right now. As the Haitians, a group of people that the Republicans have outwardly hated, as they've saying that they're eating chickens, they're eating pets, they're eating your cats, they're eating your dogs, just disrespecting these people, man. So they've done everything they can to remove the protections that have been put in place for the Haitians, and I think it was one other group, I can't remember, but I know the Haitians were one of them. Yeah, the Syrians. But the Haitians and the Syrians, they want them out. Now the Haiti, right now, the gangs are running the country after the president was killed months ago. It's been a hellhole. Haiti has been a hellhole since the day that they would receive their freedoms. Because instead of Haiti being treated like a country that got its freedom, like America, they're treated like murderers who killed people. They killed the French leaders and leadership, and and they've hated it ever since. The embargoes that they placed on Haiti that they could never pay have made them a losing country since day one. They made it so Haiti could never be successful as a country, because they fought for their freedom and they didn't want to be enslaved anymore by the French. It's been hell for them ever since. Now we reach out to them and try to help these people when they're going through a hard time, because they were also hit by an earthquake. And what is the Trump admin? They don't care. They don't care what the Statue of Liberty says. They don't like the skin tone of these people that are coming in. Get them out. They're criminals. They're killers. They don't like them. The racism that is running our country is ridiculous. But this morning, we're examining two stories that at first glance may seem completely unrelated, but they're all related, man. One takes us back to 161 years ago in Galveston, Texas. The other takes us halfway around the world to the Middle East. One is about freedom. The other is about war and the responsibilities of peace. But both stories force us to answer the same question. What happens when power controls the timing of freedom, security, and justice? Oh, this is wrong.
You sure?
Yeah. It's just that, man, we go ahead and play the video there up there at the top, the immigration policy.
It is decision day at the U.S. Supreme Court, and two major immigration rulings came down. One paves the way for the Trump administration to potentially revive immigration policy that was once used to turn back migrants seeking asylum at the U.S. border. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins us now to talk about this. Jessica, always a joy to have you on. Walk us through that first case and what the justices decided.
So this is a case about a policy called metering. And essentially what happens is that the Customs and Border Patrol agents can stand at the border. In this case, we're talking about the US-Mexico border, and basically turn people away. Why does that matter? Because we're talking about a federal statute that says non-citizens can apply for asylum once you have, quote, arrived in the United States. So this entire case came down to the question of what do those words mean? What does it mean to arrive in the United States? And a majority of the court today said this is based on the plain reading of the statute. We all understand arrive to be actually come into. And so what the court said is you haven't arrived in the United States under the statute, meaning you cannot do things like seek asylum as a non-citizen if you have not crossed the border. This is all about whether or not people, before they cross the border, would be considered to have arrived in the United States. Obviously, it comes down to 3 statutory words here, but it has huge implications for people.
Well, another ruling speaks more about the 250,000 Syrian and Haitian immigration cases in the pipeline. What's your take on that one?
So this is a case dealing with temporary protected status, where we have another federal law that says, based on conditions in another country, that people who are in this country, if the federal government fears that they would not be safe to go home, then they can have something called temporary protected status. People from Haiti and people from Syria both have temporary protected status until today, where what we have is the Supreme Court saying that the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security can end that status, and that decision is not judicially reviewable because, again, of how the statute was written. The second part of that decision was based on the majority of the court concluding that it was unlikely that an equal protection clause challenge from certain people in Haiti to the Trump administration ending this particular program, that would be successful. The challengers had argued that the program was essentially ending, and in part, there was a disparate impact on the basis of race. The majority said, we don't think that equal protection clause claim is likely to actually
decide. So basically what's happening. Dang, this thing's taking forever. Mm-hmm. So basically what's happening is the Trump administration is trying to remove these people, and they're using every legal angle that they can to get these people out, no matter the protections that they were set in place by the former government. It's pretty sad, man. A lot of these people, don't want to go back to Haiti because of the situations that the country is in right now. And it's sad to see these people running right now because ICE is after them in places like North Miami, where a lot of Haitians are, the most Haitians are outside of Haiti. And it's a sad situation, man. But this is what we're going through, and man, this is what we're seeing as the Trump administration do not care about trying to help countries or places that are struggling and having problems.
Right.
Haiti is in a mess, and no one is trying to help Haiti. No one has sent them anything to try to get them out of the situation they're in. And even the African countries, I believe Kenya sent some people out there to help them a little bit. But man, this something needs to be done, man. And like I say all the time, when it comes to the African coalition across the world, we should be doing something to fucking help Haiti. All these African countries, they should do something to help them each other. Like, we have to come together, man. There's no other places are gonna fucking help us. The people in Africa, all the countries in Africa, that you have the power to do something to help Haiti, do something. All the African Americans, we need to do something. Just letting these people just go. Everybody's gonna let them be in a bad situation.
Right.
But man, something has to be done to help this place. Right now we're seeing nothing but them being trashed. And the American government is not going to help them because they're not the right skin tone. They do not care. So we got to do something to help them, man. Go ahead and play the next one. That's immigration based.
Well, to discuss the impact of today's immigration rulings, we turn now to Doris Meisner. She served as a top official at the Immigration and Naturalization Service under President Reagan and led it under President Clinton. She's now a senior fellow at the Migration Policy Institute. Doris, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's start with that ruling on asylum seekers in particular. That metering process, I have seen that firsthand under the first Trump administration at the border. The court says the administration can continue to stop people, migrants at the border, from seeking asylum. What's your response to that? What's the impact of that right now?
Well, the impact of that right now is very little. It's pretty moot. I mean, this is a practice that started back at the end of the Obama administration. It's had its ups and downs in terms of the numbers of people coming across the border, but the Trump administration has entirely shut it down. So at this point, it's making a point in the law that should circumstances like this arise again, the government would be in its rights of doing so. But it's not going to make much difference at the present time.
I want to play for you a little bit of sound from White House's Stephen Miller, who reacted to that ruling, and he had this to say about asylum seekers. Take a listen.
In every case, they're either criminals, benefit seekers, economic migrants, welfare seekers, et cetera, et cetera. They're coming to join family members and so forth. But the good news for them is that we have other countries willing to take them.
Doris, is that an accurate description of who is arriving at the U.S. southern border, and are there other countries for them to go to seek asylum?
Well, they're a mixed population, and that's what makes it very difficult. If they were one thing, then it would be quite easy to decide how to process. But these people coming during this period of time have all kinds of claims or non-claims. And so the difficulty is for the government to disaggregate and decide who legitimately is an asylum seeker, who legitimately might have a reason for entering, and who should be turned back. So, this is painting with a very, very broad brush.
I've heard this claim from Border Patrol officials, advocacy groups.
Now, I see someone talking about an actual slave, how bad it was, and they would say it was better to have been poor and white. You fucking clown. Short circuit, you're a clown, dog. That's all I can say. You're gonna sit there and tell me that freedom, being poor with freedom, is better than someone who's housed and enslaved? Are you fucking joking? I can't even believe you said that dumb shit. But that's some dumb shit to say, boy. Boy, that was dumb. The person with freedom is going to be who can do whatever they want. It's going to be happier than the person who can't do what they want and then enslaved. Like, yeah, they probably would say that because they was brainwashed into thinking that fucking slavery was great. And some of you other motherfuckers going to keep saying that, oh, well, the slave was happy while he was getting beat, tortured, raping his wife and daughter. Oh, they loved it. Shut the hell up. Anyway, man, let's go to some of these clips. Let's go to Mike Johnson and him talking about the bill that wasn't passed, the housing bill that wasn't passed by Trump, as he throws a temper tantrum to get the SAVE Act pushed through.
In the process of this press conference, President Trump announced that he is canceling the bill signing for the housing bill that you all were just talking about. He said he's canceling it until the SAVE Act is passed, and he called this housing bill, which passed with such bipartisan support, of minor importance, and said it pales in comparison to the SAVE Act. What is your reaction?
Yeah, my reaction is the truth of the matter. I spoke to the president for 20 minutes before I went in and gave that rousing speech to the House Republicans this morning. He and I've talked about this a lot. He has expressed the priority and the preference of the Save America Act. We share that. We passed it 3 times in the House. The latest version was passed a few months ago, and it has proof of citizenship to register to vote and the proof of showing a photo ID when you show up to vote. Basic issues that 90% of Americans agree. 70% of Democrats think you ought to have a photo ID to vote. And citizenship to vote in an American election is already in the law. But we have to enforce it because you got a few blue states that don't do that. The president believes in election integrity. He talks about it all the time, and we do as well. In act and deed, we have stood for that. We passed the Save America Act again. Here's this. Let me finish this. This is very important. That is the top priority, because if you do not have safe elections in this grand experiment in self-governance that we have in a constitutional republic, you don't have anything. And we've got to ensure it. We have to press for election integrity measures. That's why we've made it a top priority. It has been stuck in the Senate, and here's why. Because no Democrat in the House or Senate will vote for the Save America Act. Those two things I just told you, they vote against that every single time, and they will. Why? You ask that. That's a rhetorical question. You should go ask them the actual question. Why? Are you against proof of citizenship and a photo ID? Why is that? They can't give you a cogent answer. The reason is they do want to allow for cheating and fraud in the elections, because it is the only way that the Marxists can win. They cannot win on their ideas. That's why this is so important. The president is to us. So how does that tie into housing? He's laser focused on...
Man, this dude, dog, it's a disgrace. These people, the shit that they say. 90% of Americans agree with this. The fuck out of here, man. Nobody agrees that we need to prove that we're a fucking citizen when we go to vote. Like, you keep saying that shit like it's normal. They try to roll it off their tongue like it's normal. That shit is not normal. When I get an ID, I have to prove I'm a citizen. My ID should be enough to register and get me into voting. I shouldn't have to show you my fucking birth certificate to register to vote. I shouldn't have to do that. I had to do that to prove that I was a citizen to get the ID. What do you think the ID is? Like, dog, this shit is ridiculous, man. They're just trying to figure out ways to keep people from being able to vote. Oh, your name is different on your birth certificate than it is now. You can't vote. That's what they're trying to do.
And that's mostly going to affect women.
Probably Republican women the most. But that's what they're trying to do. And that is what they're doing. And let's play this next clip of I think it's what's the next clip up there? Is that it? Tom Emmer. Let's play that.
Guess what? There is nothing racist about calling out a criminal. So when I say that it's time. It's time. I mean, this is what they do in the great state of Minnesota. You know, our culture, that Scandinavian culture. By the way, I better make it clear before I go any farther. Minnesotans, are there any here? Ah, good. Then let me just say. Okay, well, born, you're wearing that hat. You must be from northern Minnesota, the Iron Range. No. Probably closer to Iowa. No, I'm going to leave that alone. The reason I bring it up is because I tell people regularly, Minnesota did not create passive-aggressive behavior, but we did perfect it, okay? And I happen to be more on the aggressive side, which doesn't always work in Minnesota, as Ralph will tell you. You know, sometimes Minnesotans are so afraid that you're going to call us a racist, you're going to call us an Islamophobe, you're going to call us some name that we just don't want to get into that fight. You know what? I would argue that I never did care, but I'm done being careful, even the least bit careful. And I don't really care where you come from, but if you come to this great country, you have to understand you're coming here to be an American. We celebrate everyone's culture. We're happy with that, as long as you are an American. Celebrate your culture. I don't care. Italian, Polish, Somali, okay? But they don't assimilate. And if they don't assimilate, then they should go the hell back to where they came from. Sorry, Ralph. I know this is a family show. I can't help myself today. Yeah. It's
These people openly saying go the fuck back to Africa, openly. Openly telling people that if they don't act like them or pick up their culture and become
he said
white,
it's Scandinavian culture,
right, then you're wrong and you need to go back to your country. Dude, American is a lot of things. No one has to bend to someone's view of what America is supposed to be. Somali people come here and they still want to be them. That is fine with me. What is it talk about? But why you want to keep saying talk about Bolton? What is it to talk about? Bolton went to jail for something that Trump should have went to jail with.
And Bolton was a Trump appointed,
a Trump hire. He the one that put him in there. So I don't know why y'all want to talk about it. It seems Bolton like it should be a sore subject for y'all. But just because Trump turned on him doesn't mean a shit to me. Trump put him in office. Trump did the same crime as him and got away with it. And in fact, Trump had 10 times more files hidden than Bolton had. So it's nothing to talk about to me. It's the conversation is really mute to me because he's just a person that's getting paying the dues that Trump should have paid in the first place. All right, let's go and let's watch these people, man. As Trump's six the police on people touching the water at the Lincoln Monument.
Given the sensitivity, I agree with you. I know. No, you're good. People with the knife. That's why.
Wow. Got the police actually running up on people, questioning them what they're doing with their hands in the water of the monument. And this has never been no one ever cared. Now all of a sudden everybody cares. Now the question is, Trump is saying that somebody took a knife and cut 350 yards, 350 feet of paint with a knife. And that's the reason why I started bubbling it up. It has nothing to do with all the chemicals that they put in there. It has nothing to do with the process. It's just somebody took a knife and like it's not even believable. But this is what we see today. It's crap. It's a distraction. He wanted to gloat about how great he is and how great he's going to make the monument and look. And we didn't even need it. Obama already spent a lot of money getting it fixed. The algae was already an issue that they yearly get the algae out of it. Mm-hmm. It's something they've known for years, decades. But hey, Trump knows best. He comes in and hires people that doesn't know what the hell they're doing, and they fuck it up worse. And now he's sending his police to attack people and arrest people and put people in jail. I think 15 people have been arrested for touching the water and grabbing paint. Like, dog, the paint bubbled up and somebody touched it and they went to jail. Are you kidding me, dog? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Obama fixed it and it was never a word about it. But the problem is Trump tries to gloat, tries to act like he's so great and everybody else is so incompetent. And then when it all goes wrong, everybody wants to throw it in his face because he talks so much trash about everybody. So let's go to the next video. And look how things are going in Iran right now.
President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also reacting to that. Take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment. And they, too, will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this, it has no right to do that.
President Trump, during our call, responded directly to those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country. And so clearly the president reacting directly.
Master negotiator. Like, dog, talking shit is not diplomacy, man.
At all.
Throwing out threats is not how you build bridges. This guy thinks, like I said, he can punk everybody into his way. Iran is not hearing that. You heard it, so-called president. They have no respect for this man.
At all.
None. None. He's being treated. They don't care about what he says or anything he's putting out or putting forth with his stinking plans. The fact that he's always turning around and saying one thing and the next day saying another is something that makes him look weak. It makes him look weak. And the Iranian people are laughing at him while he tries to act like everybody's laughing at Obama when Obama had a deal that was done without having to go to war.
Right.
No war. Everything was taken care of. We were able to go in and look and see if they had any enriched uranium. Now they're saying they're not giving up anything, and they're not giving up their rights to be able to enrich and to have uranium. They're not giving it up. And Trump keeps saying they can't have a nuclear weapon. Horrible, man. And this is what happens when you have a president who leads by being a dick first. This is what happens. They are making America look like fools on the global scale. Let's go ahead and play this video of Larry David here.
And this is your way of celebrating America. The White House did it much differently with the UFC fight. What did you think about that?
It was a travesty. Yeah. What else can you say about it? It was embarrassing. I was embarrassed to be an American. Yeah.
Embarrassed to be an American.
The UFC fight was probably the most embarrassing thing that Americans have witnessed in the history of America when it comes to just representing the country. We've done some ugly things and ugly actions, but when it comes to just representation, what America stands for, this is the dumbest shit I ever seen. This UFC fight was ridiculous. And it's very sad that we had this shit going on. Dirt bikes and everything else jumping around. Don't play that one. Go to the next one, Trump heckle.
For more than 100 years, this legendary company has been making trucks right here in eastern Pennsylvania, building the heavy-duty machinery that keeps our economy rolling, our factories moving, and our industries growing all across the nation. And you are the men and women who put your pride and spirit into those beautiful words.
He should be met with pedophile chants everywhere he goes. Every place he shows his face, he should be met with that. People trying to cover his mouth. Oh, free speech until you say something bad that they don't like about Trump, but they can go around saying N-words and calling everybody all type names. Right. That's free speech, is fine. But you say something about their president, they trying to put your hands over their mouth, kick you out. These people are disgusting, man. And he deserves every single thing that happens to him.
Every heckling.
Go ahead, play that.
450,000 kids were lost during the Biden administration. You didn't say a word about it.
Mr. Secretary, do not interrupt.
Don't you point your finger at me. Don't
I
be a
will
hypocrite.
point my finger
Don't you be
at
a hypocrite
you.
then. Then you be a threat. You should be as upset about the 450,000 kids that were lost. You didn't say a word about it. For 4 years, you never said a word.
Mr. Secretary.
Could you put him in his place for
Don't yell at me.
You should be put in your place.
Mr. Secretary, if you would like 4 minutes for a closing statement when everybody's done, I'll give you that. But while members are on their 8 minutes, I need them to have their 8 minutes.
I started my
I
comments.
appreciate that. My issue is that they say this for sound bites, and I'm not going to let them say
What
something
did
like
you
that.
do just recently for sound bites? I sympathize with the 400.
We are going to have something resembling order here. The time is the ranking members. If you would like to respond later on, there are methods to do that, but it's not a who can talk louder into the mic.
It's not.
So, you are recognized.
Thank you very much.
I will not let her
Mr.
sit there and lie and accuse something this ridiculous.
Well, this is the legislative branch, and it's my hearing, and so I'm going to try to some extent to control it moderately.
And do
Thank you.
not accuse me of lying. Do not.
Then don't.
I do not.
Oh, Mark Wayne Mullen. Man, dude, dog. I knew when they put him in any position that it was going to be a problem. This dude don't do, that's all he wants to do is fight. All he tried to do is pick a fight. Like, I mean, all this guy does is want to fight. I mean, just answer the question. Tax dollars are spins flushed down the toilet while you sit around and not answer the question and fight and talk about, well, the Biden administration. No, we're talking about you and your job. But
Under
for some
the Trump
reason,
administration.
right, for some reason, they could just be like, well, the Biden administration, they did this. So you're not going to answer for anything that you are doing. You're just going to keep saying, well, what about them? Like, are we fucking five? Are you going to be held accountable for the things that you are doing right now? But they believe they can't be held accountable. It's ridiculous, man. The Republican Party is a disgrace right now. All they want to do is fight and yell at each other. And when they get caught, they get brought to task. They don't want to be held accountable. Mullins is a disgrace. Now let's listen to Trump talk about AI and Anthropic and how he feels about it.
We have a situation with Anthropic, and we didn't like what they were doing. And so far, I think they behaved very responsibly to our request.
Do you view Anthropic and, to a degree, its CEO, Dario Amodei, as a threat to national security?
Well, not now, but a week ago, maybe. I was with him yesterday. He made a speech. I made a little speech. We were in the room on the G7, and seems like a nice guy, smart guy. But he responded to us very quickly. Because, it's tremendous liability. People get put in prison immediately for that. You can't play games with that. And he responded very responsibly, I thought. So far, I think he will.
Do you have the power and the inclination to shut them down or possibly take them?
Well, I don't want to do that because I'm somebody that, we're beating China by a lot on AI. I was with President Xi. We talked about it. We're beating China by a lot. Everyone thought that we didn't have the electricity. I came up with an idea. I thought of it myself. I let them build their own electric plants when they're building their factories. That way they don't have to use an old grid. And they actually sell back into the grid at a cheap price, excess electricity. Wow. They need massive amounts. It's amazing, Mark. They need double the amount of electricity that this country produces for everything to run it. So I had the idea. I said, I'm going to let them. I mean, we don't have that kind of electricity. Really, nobody does. And they're building their plants, and they're building the most incredible electric producing factories you've ever seen. So we're leading China by a lot. It's going to be for the good, and we're watching for the bad. I think the good, let me put it a different.
A lot of people are having issues with AIs, the facilities, data facilities being put in their neighborhoods, the noise pollution, the air pollution. And a person like Trump, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the pollution that is being caused all through these areas. As they push back on Memphis and all these black neighborhoods that are seeing the pollution from Elon Musk, the DOJ said, who cares? Let them keep polluting. Like, this guy is 100% for AI, 100% against the people who are trying to keep their neighborhoods from being overran by noise and air pollution. And Trump does everything he can to keep the money flowing. But he also wants to control the AI companies, tell them what they can and can't do, as he's blocked ChatGPT's newest update. Now, they didn't give any information on why they blocked this, but this is something that he's been doing since he's got into office. He wants to control private businesses, tell them who they can and can't hire, tell them what they can and can't do, giving certain companies okays because he's cool with them, doing everything he can for the Ellison family, David and Larry Ellison, or whatever their names are. So this unfair treatment of always being for the rich people and not caring about the small people like us is something that he's doing on an everyday basis. Pro AI is something that's going to hurt the everyday American. They have to put these data centers somewhere else. You know, he talking about he created the idea to for them to build their own energy on. Get the hell out of here. They should be using renewable energy. But a lot of these places are making deals with Exxon and all the oil companies so they can use the same old system of burning oil and fossil fuels for energy, polluting the air even more. We know we want to go to the next millennium, and we want to be a tech conscious society that's looking forward, but we can't get our fossil fuels and looking backwards for our fucking fuel. They don't believe in wind. They don't believe in sun. They just want to burn fossil fuels. That's it. That's the answer to everything. And it's ridiculous. And we're going to pay the price for it, man, for making these stupid decisions to decide to step away from fossil fuels and everything else. I think we only have a lot of time for like a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
Albania, that's fine.
Since news broke that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump have plans to develop a luxury resort on a pristine island off Albania, protests like this one on the coast across from the island have broken out. Angry protesters vandalized a luxury resort development site. This one was not backed by U.S. President Trump's daughter and son-in-law, but shows how the anger has expanded. Major demonstrations have gripped the capital, Tirana. Demonstrators expressed outrage about the prospect of Kushner and his wife developing a historically protected area on the Adriatic and turning it into a resort with villas, a water park, and a casino.
We want people to be happy and to be able to enjoy our coastline. We don't want to be tourists in our own country.
They've aimed their fury at the Albanian government for supporting the development.
Because we vote for them, and they have to work for us, not for themselves.
Now we're protesting because the government, it's really corrupted. So it's not really one person. We need to change all.
Albania's prime minister has said that the project has yet to begin and continues to champion development of Albania's Adriatic coast. CNN reached out to Jared Kushner's private equity fund about the plans, but was redirected to a different company, Sazan Real Estate Development LLC, and told that investors are involved in their personal capacity.
Yeah, man. No one wants their hotels on their coastline. Now, we saw a video of Ivanka talking about, oh, how beautiful it is and how great it is. So he's going to do everything they can to build something where they're not wanted. Now in Kenya, they were able to stand up and protest, and they will not have the Ebola place facility that America was going to build in Kenya. They will be turning around. So protesting does work, and I suggest the people of Albania to keep standing up and keep fighting against these people trying to destroy your homes for their rich vacations. All right, we got time for a couple more. Play the Chicago mayor one.
Last week, I warned you that Juneteenth is historically one of the most violent days for whatever reason. I asked you if Donald Trump, the President of the United States, if you would reach out to him for some kind of help or assistance. You said that Donald Trump was a massive failure or something to that effect. The people of Chicago, the real people, are asking me if you're the massive failure and not the president.
It's not he's just a failure. He's a doty individual. In fact, if you look specifically at his so-called black agenda, he has not delivered on one promise. You can't say that you believe in creating safe communities and then literally undermine all of the efforts that create safer communities. The responsibility, of course, is on all of us. Here's a responsibility that I continue to take. Driving a community safety plan that removes guns from the streets of Chicago. Driving a community safety plan that actually invests in the communities that this president refuses to invest in. Driving a community safety plan that ensures that our local police department has the tools that they need to ultimately hold people accountable is why we have seen positive trends. Now, of course, there's more work to be done. That work is not going to be accomplished through social media. The failure of this administration is that he is more interested in tweeting or posting evil and inhumane projections than he is actually willing to put money into the very communities that he ostensibly offers some degree of care for. But the fact of the matter is this: there's no administration in this city that has contributed more to keeping people safe. Is there more work to be done? Absolutely. Has this president undermined our work? He most certainly has. Again, this is an individual that is more interested in removing voting rights protections. He's more interested in calling for investigations or reducing the ability to investigate civil rights violations, in coordinating the upward transfer of wealth into the hands of the ultra-rich at the expense of everyday people. His failure is in defunding the very efforts that ultimately can keep people.
Now, the right love to use Chicago, which is a huge, huge city, as their go-to for racism and violence. And while they sit around talking about Chicago, we look up the most violent cities, and they're all in Republican states. Chicago is not even in the top. Y'all love to talk about it, though. But Little Rock, Arkansas, and Louisiana, and all these cities in the red states, that they can't fix their crime in their states. They're the poorest states. They can't fix their health care. They can't fix their poor problems, but they always want to point at other places and tell them how they're supposed to be running their cities. Like, it's insane, man. We live in bizarro world where these people who live in states where the worst crime is happening can sit around and tell other people who have less crime that they're doing a bad job. They always want all the Democrat cities, they're so bad. But if we look at the statistical data, the worst cities are Republican ran. Republican ran. Now let's see here before we get out of here. Chicago ranks roughly 20th to 30th among large U.S. cities in violent crime rates. 20 of 30th. So there's 20 or 30 more cities that's worse than Chicago. And y'all love to talk about it, but you won't talk about those 20 or 30 cities that's worse. And if we consider and tell you over and over again that Republican states are the ones that have the worst violent crime, and they still will not talk about it. They still will not do anything. Chicago, frequently ranks outside the top 10 for per capita homicide rates. Though it often has the highest total number of homicides due to its large population size. They always trying to say, you guys don't understand per capita. But if we tell you, hey, this city is huge, so a lot of shit can happen in this city, and it won't really hurt its per capita rates like it would in a small town in fucking Mississippi or Arkansas. The amount of shootings doesn't really hurt Chicago because it's huge. But if those shootings happen in Louisiana, a smaller city, it hurts it a lot because it doesn't have a lot of people in it. But Chicago is one of the top, 6 cities when it comes to size? 5?
Mm-hmm.
So please understand per capita. Republican states are the most violent. Go fix your own problems before you tell someone else how to fix theirs. And on that note, we're up out of here, man. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. We appreciate it. If you aren't a member, please hit the subscribe button. You can become a member, and we have certain videos we put out just for our members and everything. But we appreciate everyone that talked with us and left a comment. And have a good rest of your Saturday. Peace.
Thanks for watching another episode of Habari Live. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get updates on news, the podcast, and more. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to visit www.habarientertainment.com. See you next week. Peace.